All right, good afternoon. You all know me, so I don't need to introduce. And let me get the first slide. This is what, again, we have to do this. The University of Western Australia is situated on the Noongar land, and the Noongar people remain the spiritual and cultural custodians of land, continue to practice their values, languages, beliefs, and knowledge. So this used to be an indigenous land, so we just respect that. On behalf of the University of Western Australia and especially the Institute of Agriculture, I warmly welcome you all to this special lecture delivered by Professor Jayasree Krishnankutty. I got it right. Now from here on I won't say professor. So Jayasree is a professor in agriculture extension and former director of extension in Kerala Agricultural University. That's where I did my undergraduate program. She has 23 years of teaching and research experience. She has taken up a number of research projects aimed at agri-entrepreneurship by women, smallholder marketing, natural resource management, and sustainable agriculture and conservation of traditional farming system with the state as well as reputable national agencies. So we'll hear that today. She was and she is the principal investigator from India side, an ARC discovery project between UWA, Kerala Agriculture University, and others. And Professor Michael Blakeney, who is from Faculty of Law, is sitting here. So Michael and I lead that project from here. So we connected with Jayasree in that project. So the project is about which she will talk, traditional rice system, food, livelihood security, and consumer preferences. So we had two countries. One is India, and the other one is Indonesia. And in India, we decided to put all our eggs in our part of the project in KAU, Kerala Agriculture University. So Jayasree has more than 50 research publications, some of them in high impact journals. She's a member of the Research Advisory Committee of IIRR, that is Indian Institute of Rice Research, Hyderabad, and editorial member in a number of national journals in agriculture extension. So she's a specialist in agriculture extension. She has acted as the nodal officer in Kerala for National Extension Project by ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and been the state nodal officer of Young Innovators Program by the government of Kerala. She also acted as the regional coordinator of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. That's Advance India.
Yes.
Okay, done.
Rural uplift.
Yeah. Then Jayasree has attended and presented cases in international programs on market access for smallholders in Netherlands, Ghana, Vietnam, South Africa, and also in Germany last year. You were there.
Yes.
Yeah. She's also a team member of the consultant to the UN G20 Land Restoration Initiative. So in this lecture, Jayasree will explore, again, leveraging smallholder farmers in a changing agriculture scenario, perspective from Kerala, India. I also want to welcome Akshara, Jayasree's daughter, sitting there. Show your hands. So she lives in Canberra, so she accompanied her mother, and then they will go to Canberra. So would you please join me in thanking Jayasree for coming and giving this lecture.
Thank you. So shall I just straight away give a click and it will open? Yeah. So thanks to Dr. Kadambod Siddiq first. It has been a very fruitful association for me to have associated with Dr. Siddiq. I guess I'm now on the lower side of voice. Can you hear me? Yeah, it will come up as I go on. That's the usual practice. So it has been my pleasure and pride to have associated with this project sponsored by University of Western Australia. And Kerala Agriculture University has been my host university for the past 23 years, as you have seen in my biodata. And I guess I'll go straight away to my presentation, because any interaction we can have at the end of the presentation. So thanks to Professor Kadambod Siddiq, Professor Michael, and all of you, my daughter Akshara especially. So this is the outline of my presentation. I'm going to give an overview of my state, Kerala, at the outset. All these will be very short. Kerala Agricultural University and Kerala Agriculture, just an overview. Then the topic is on leveraging smallholder farmers in agriculture. Hello. So 3 cases I'll be detailing. The first is on mango production in Kerala. Mango is a commercially big crop in Kerala. Kerala is exporting mango to many parts of the world, and Kerala mangoes are the earliest. Then case on organic farming. Then our first project, the ARC Discovery Project, which Dr. Siddiq just now said, food security and the governance of local knowledge in India and Indonesia. The one that is ongoing now, it is on traditional rice systems, and the challenges and way forward, and finally conclusions. Kerala is a biodiversity hotspot. Some of you, most of you will be knowing it's a very green, the greenest state in India. It's the hottest hotspots of biological diversity. The Western Ghats is a mountain chain which occupies a large part of the state. The forests of the Western Ghats include some of the best representative of non-equatorial tropical evergreen forests anywhere, and are home to at least 325 globally threatened flora and fauna, bird, amphibian species. But some of the specialities of Kerala is that it has the density of population is the highest in India. It is 860 per square kilometers. Australia will not be able to even imagine how can this much of a density of population can happen in any place in the world. The width of this, I mean, it's a very small state. That's why the density of population is so high. And we have plenty of rainfall. It is very high, 3,000, about 3,000 millimeters. Many number of rivers, 44. But the average, because of these things, the average size of operational holdings is 0.1 hectare, whereas the Indian average is 1. So Kerala doesn't even have 1/10 of the national average of operational holding size. 96% of the farmers in Kerala, due to this reason, are smallholders. It has the highest human development index. It is on par with some of the developed countries of the world. In India, it is 0.633, whereas in Kerala, it is 0.752. HDI is actually a combination of life expectancy index, education index, and GNI, which is an indicator of the standard of living of a person. This is an UN indicator. The population growth rate is estimated to be lowest in the country. It is 3.31, whereas in India it is averages 17.6. The per capita income of Kerala in India has always been very high. Kerala income compared to India is on the high, and it is staying that way. It has diverse topography, as you can see in the map here. On this side, we have the mountain range and the dense evergreen forests. The midland is plains, but it's also green, and the coastal lands are low-lying lands where rice cultivation is mostly taken up. So this is an example. This is a highland. This is a midland, densely populated. And this is a standard homestead farming area, a home around it. It's fine. Welcome, sir. And these are the coastal lands. This is the state is very green in general. My university, the Kerala Agriculture University, is the only agricultural university in the state. It has 8 colleges, 6 regional agricultural research stations, 7 transfer of technology centers, 15 research stations, 16 research and extension units, 1 Institute of Agriculture Technology offering diploma in agriculture sciences. This college, the College on Climate Change and Environmental Sciences, has been established under the leadership of Dr. Siddiq. It's only due to him that we could establish this college. I think the University of Western Australia initiated, funded at the beginning stage, and now the university has taken up continuing with the college. Our centers, the research stations, cover a plethora of crops that the Kerala state grows. Most of you will be able to identify these crops. This is cardamom, this is cool season cauliflower, this is pepper, this is pineapple, this is rice. So that is regarding the introductory part. Kerala agriculture largely revolves around these major crops, but we have a small proportion of most of the crops growing in tropical regions in the state: rice, coconut, banana, vegetables, etc. Mostly in the hands of smallholders, and that too through homesteads. A homestead is usually a home and then around it a farming area, which is an example in many of the tropical countries. We will move on to the case of mango production in Mudalamada, which is a mango hub actually in India, in the whole country, because it has 4,500 hectares of mango growing area. Farmers grow commercial mango here. It is the biggest center of mango production in the country. The fruit varieties from here are the first to reach the global markets because they have the earliest flowering. Due to our climatic specialities, the soil conditions, etc., they flower very early. So Kerala mangoes, especially mangoes from this area, are the first to reach the Indian market, and to that extent even the global market from our part of the world. But the farmers, a majority of them are smallholder farmers. I had a project funded by ICAR to cover the challenges faced by mango farmers in Mudalamada. And we found out mainly through scientific analysis. I'm not elaborating that analysis part here. There is a lacking in transparent marketing system. As in many cases, it is intermediaries who deal with the mangoes once it is harvested, once it is in the collection centers. Then farmers are not even aware where the mangoes are going, to which market these mangoes are going. So farmers get a very low proportion of the final price paid by the consumer. Inability of the farmer producer organizations in promoting marketing activities. I'm sorry, the expansion is not given here. Farmer producer organizations are coming up in Kerala like anything to support the small and marginal farmers, but actually even they are not capable of taking up the marketing of mangoes by themselves. Lack of varietal uniformity is another challenge. Many of the farmers, this is actually two farmers here, while we made the field visit, both of them grow different varieties of mango. So the marketing to that extent becomes inefficient because of the lack of varietal uniformity. Producers are not really aware about the quality consciousness of the global consumers. Then I'm moving on to the next case on organic farming. I had a project with the Infosys Social Science Wing, the SD Foundation. They are actually giving awards to organic farmers of the state every year. So this lady is an award winner in 2016. So she's actually a physically challenged lady, but still she's taking farming very enthusiastically. They smallholder farmers with agriculture as primary occupation. She's an example of that, but her husband is working, so that's why she's able to maintain the farm. And there is no price premium for organic produce, especially organic vegetables and organic fruits, which are grown in smallholder areas. An organic farm, we found through our research that we did some analysis of nearly 250 farmers. So an organic farm of area above 7 acres can be viable, that is to 28,328 square meters. But might because we found some examples of farmers doing that, running a farm and a home very profitably in a good manner, but many of them don't have 7 acres of land. Smallholder organic farming, including terrace farming and hydroponics, will be ideal for nutritional security of the family and food safety, taking the special circumstances of our state. And then coming to our current ARC Discovery project, this was taken up under the premises that rice cultivation in Kerala is on the decline. From 0.88 million hectare in 1974-75, It is now slightly less than this. In 2015-16, this is official statistics, 0.19 million hectare in 15-16, production from 1.3 million tons to 0.55 million tons. So we took up a project concerning food security and the governance of local knowledge in India and Indonesia with this specific objective: smallholder or marginal farmers identify, conserve and exchange use. On how do they do this, and the ways in which the regulatory structures in the countries help or hinder this process. This is where Professor Michael had his guidance. He provided the guidance and the leadership for that. So these were taken during some of the farmer interfaces, the field visit, another field visit. So this is a story of traditional rice in Kerala. I'm not going through the whole of it because it might bore you. The primary point is that it dates back to 3000 BC, because we have a very long tradition of cultivating rice in the state. But during the early 1900s, we had around 2000 traditional rice land races. Area was at its peak at this time, but then with the advent of green revolution in India, many of you might be aware of that, the biodiversity or the agrobiodiversity of varieties began to come down. Introduction of high-yielding, short-duration varieties, this revolutionized its scenario, and then later, during the 1970s and 80s, the declining area under traditional rice cultivation became very marked. So I'm not going into more details of this. These are the main areas we did our study. These are the highest traditional rice growing areas, these districts. This is Palakkad, this is Malappuram, and this is Wayanad. So one of the questions we addressed was, is traditional rice cultivation profitable? So we did an economic analysis. I'm not including all the details of it, but what is significant is that the total cost is given here in all the districts. It is much lower than the state average of small holding rice, the state average stands at 1,12,000. We express it as lakhs, so it must be 0.1 million, whereas the cost in all the three districts were lower than the state average. It is 82,000 here, 86,000 here, and in Wayanad, this district, the lowest, 79,000. And the cost of production of 1 kg of rice is given here. It is also less than the state average, that is these two districts, whereas in Wayanad it is small because Wayanad is a hilly district, so labor and everything is pricier here in this district. So that's the reason all three districts had higher productivity than the state average. This is regarding traditional rice. So it has its positives. We found through this study, traditional rice does have its positives, which go largely unnoticed by the general rice cultivators of today. So we looked at the economic viability to test our hypothesis. So we looked at different measures of income. I'm not going into the details of that, all of that. Those who are interested, at the end of the session, I can come back to this slide and explain if necessary. But what is important is, like BZ at explicit is more than 1 in all the districts, Wayanad the highest, and Palakkad the lowest, but still traditional rice is at explicit, it is economically remunerative to the farmer. So this is one of our publications, a prestigious publication. We analyzed how whether traditional rice is reviving. So we explored into that using many analytical methods. Some of it I'll be elaborating here. We found some of the common features among the traditional rice farmers through a cluster analysis. Cluster analysis, as you might be knowing, it looks at the similarities and differences between respondents. And we identified groups of them with similar characteristics. We used k-means clustering. The speciality of this is that the number of clusters does not have to be specified. So it is algorithm that finds out how many probable clusters can be there. Each observation is randomly allocated by the algorithm to a cluster. In each cluster, centroid is found. This centroid will usually define the nature of that cluster. So our analysis yielded 4 clusters. So this is an elaboration of exactly how these clusters stood. I will not elaborate on these variables. These are the variables with the cluster centers. So these are the names. These names are given by us. Cluster 1 was named as promising, cluster 2 as genuine interest group, cluster 3 is innovative, and cluster 4 as traditional. And this slide will explain how these names were given. The promising farmers, because they are an emerging type of farmers of Kerala having another income source, and many of them retired from a job. So they have an alternate income source. The genuine interest group overseas returned persons. This is a very common phenomenon in our state. Many of the educated working age persons go abroad. It can be to one of the Gulf countries, it can be to Europe, it can be to Australia. They return later, many of them return later, and then they engage in either agriculture or maybe some small businesses. So they are on the rise. This group is on the rise now. They have less experience in agriculture because they have been in another job most of their productive period. Less area and only moderate productivity, but they are not concerned about that because they are more concerned about the food safety. Had relatively high education and they made use of the institutional support. The innovative farmers, the third group, they are largely overseas return farmers but with high marketed surplus because they have larger areas, their productivity is more, and they have good marketing potential. So these three groups are actually the emerging type of farmers in rice in our state. The traditional farmers have always been there. They are the traditional farmers who do agriculture for generations together, and they have always been farmers, and they continue to be farmers. This book, authored by Professor Michael Blakeney and Professor Siddiq sir, had a chapter based on our work. So essence of the chapter is here. This is another research article which Professor Blakeney is the first author because it dealt with the legal matters. The cultivation of traditional rice varieties is cost effective, as our analysis earlier showed. It is largely in the hands of farmers who are not highly profit oriented. Most of these varieties are not registered or have any legal validation. These traditional varieties just exist, but they don't have any legal authentication, or the farmers do not go for any legal validation to their cultivated varieties. So are they satisfied? This was another question we addressed. So we developed a satisfaction index. It is a simple index that is the score obtained by the ith respondent divided by, it is a ratio. To get the satisfaction level of farmers on the different dimensions, a pool frequency distribution table was used, which is given here. The essence of this analysis is given here. That is, majority of the traditional rice farmers were satisfied. To our surprise, they expressed satisfaction. That's due to the food safety and nutritional aspects of the traditional rice varieties. The combined mean positive satisfaction per person stood at 48.4. This is good. Poor reliability, the reason why of negative responses can be poor reliability of the procurement system. Many of the farmers rely on our government procurement system to market their produce, and the low price or lack of premium price for traditional rice might be the reason, they were the reasons for negative responses. This response is but specific to traditional rice farmers. It is not general to all the rice farmers or the average rice farmer of the state. This is specific to traditional rice farmers who we surveyed. Many of the surveyed farmers had other means of income. This can be the reason for their satisfaction. The result is a good indication of the sustainability. Because they are satisfied, they will continue. Many of them expressed that they will continue with this system because they are happy with it. The occupation distribution of the farmers proves our point that it is given in numbers and in percentage actually. Those relied on farming as a main source of income were actually 79, but in that itself there were overseas returnees, who had other sources were 21%. So 82% were employed and 17% were retired hands. Is it the old farmers who are more satisfied? So we were wondering. The farmers expressed satisfaction. There were youngish farmers in the group, and it's a world phenomenon that the average age of the rice grower is expressed as 55. It's a global 55 years of age. That's a global data. Ours was very near to that. It was 54. We used a two-way contingency table to test this, and we found that people aged 25 to these were the youngest group in our survey. The 50% of them expressed satisfaction, that is 0.40 is about average. So most of them were not satisfied, the young people, whereas all the older people, that is 35 to 64 years, had, more people were in the satisfied categories. So our null hypothesis was rejected using two methods, that is chi-square and the likelihood ratio. Both of them rejected the null hypothesis, which means our assumption that the satisfaction, there is a significant difference. So the older our hypothesis is proved. The null hypothesis is proved wrong. Our assumption that the older people are more satisfied was proved right. Among the young group, 25 to 34 years, 50% of the farmers were dissatisfied with their enterprise. The middle-aged group, 35 years and above, had higher proportions of respondents in the satisfied categories. The younger farmers in farming were less educated, and this was the reason, and they did not have other occupation choices, and this is the reason for their dissatisfaction. The older groups are doing farming as a subsidiary or post-retirement or after quitting an overseas job. Now I'm moving on to our current project, which dealt with 4 systems of rice cultivation in the state: Pukali, Kuttanad, Coldlands, and Kaipad. These are the pictorial representations. These are specialty rice growing areas. I'll give you the explanation of these systems here. Kaipad, Pukali, Kol, and Kuttanad are specific rice production systems. Rice cultivation is practiced below sea level in all these systems, in all these 4 systems, and they are major rice growing areas of our state. Kaipad and Pukali are similar. They are salinity prone organic rice cultivation. They use traditional varieties. These are the districts, Kannur and Ernakulam district. These are located at 2 ends of the Ernakulam is central state, Kannur is the northern end of the state. Kol and Kuttanad are similar. They are reclaimed lands from seawater inundation. They are man-made, like the whole of Netherlands. They are very similar to the Netherlands situation. They are reclaimed from seawater inundation by human effort. They use modern varieties. Thrissur and Alappuzha districts are the location of Kol and Kuttanad. So we did an we chose 5 traditional varieties, 5 modern varieties. We did an organoleptic evaluation as to see how the consumers prefer eating the different rice varieties. And you can see 3 of the 5 traditional varieties stood on top. There is a 4th variety here, which featured as 5th. So which shows traditional varieties are really found palatable or preferred by the consumers. They like to eat these varieties, but still they are not on the move. Too many farmers are not cultivating them. And we did a nutritional analysis because many of the literature says that traditional varieties are superior in their nutritive qualities, and we found that they are generally feature superior in components like fiber and anthocyanin, which are very essential health ingredients. I'm sorry about the poor visibility of these wordings and the numerals here. And we checked the perception about among the people about perception, because this is among the rice farmers in the 4 rice systems, and we used a PCA, principal component analysis. So as normal, we tested the whether usage of PCA can be justified using a KMO and a Barrett test, and it justified that. So these were the explanation of the variance, and these were the factors. So the factor 1 the factor 1 comprises the physical and social dimension. These were the components of that: grain, fodder yield, living conditions, and social participation. So and the factor 2 is financial dimension, that is savings. It dealt with savings and credit. So these 2 dimensions actually held topmost. They were decisive in the perception of the respondents about traditional rice. And which factors govern the perception? So this was the PCA said that, and we computed the influence of the farmers' socioeconomic variables with their perception using a multiple linear regression, and these variables came significant at these 3 levels. That is, the more educated, financially better farmers who had bigger land holdings and who engaged in more leisure activities had a better perception about traditional rice. And then we did another, computed a well-being index, which had these aspects going into it: social connectivity, entertainment, traveling, availing holidays, assets created using agricultural income, and this was WI by WM, just like the satisfaction index. So which socioeconomic variables influenced the well-being index? So farming experience, family size. So long-time farmers with larger families and holdings who were economically sounder and who engaged in more leisure activities had more well-being. The hurdles, from overall impression or observation and the analysis we done, we found that the main hurdles in marketing of rice and other produce by the smallholders is that there is no premium price, especially for traditional rice. Lack of efficiency of the procurement agency. There is a government procurement agency on which many of these farmers, majority of these farmers are relying. The efficiency of marketing by this agency is very poor, because they don't give any special consideration to traditional rice. They are all mixed with other rice varieties and just marketed generally. So no premium price or no special attention to these very precious types of rice. Then default in payment, they don't pay them in time. So for productivity, the way forward, it is a suggestion we should give optimum interventions instead of advising the farmers for intensive agriculture. Soil quality improvement. These rice lands have been under rice cultivation for generations together, for hundreds of years. So things like macronutrient supplementing, etc., should be done for soil quality improvement. And water management. These are water-rich areas. There is unpredictable behavior of water in these areas depending upon the rain. So the water management system, there is an age-old water pumping system existing there. It's not highly efficient, so it has to be improved. The pest and disease come unwarranted. The farmers are still not really efficient in management of these, so that should be improved. And varieties. Mainly, they use a specific type of variety because this is mostly a group activity. Cultivating in these lands, specific rice zones, is kind of a group activity. They decide together what to grow. So most of the farmers cannot take an independent or individual decision. If he wants to go for a new variety, it is very difficult because most of the things are governed by the group. So there should be varietal variation in these lands. It is something that reduces the production. The production can still be higher if they change the varieties over periods of time. For marketing, this is a biggest lacuna for these farmers. Farmer collectives have to be strengthened. E-marketing, they don't do it at all. Branding, there is no branding for the traditional varieties. It should be done. And the farmers should be made aware that they are doing something very promising, and their produce is actually very precious. They are not aware of that. Institutional support, it is there, but it has to be strengthened greatly. These are some of the traditional rice varieties which got GI recognition from Kerala: Pukali rice, Kaipad rice, Jeeragashala. These are scented rice, equivalent to basmati. Basmati is world famous, whereas Jeeragashala and Gandhakashala are scented rice. They have more nutritive qualities than basmati, but they are not popular at all, especially in the global market. Palakkad and Matta is a variety that is most popular in our state. It has got its GI status. Navara is a medicinal rice. It is used for some of the arthritis related issues. It is a traditional variety used for treatment of arthritis and some other ailments. So these are our conclusions. I don't know whether I have been, no, I think I'm right on time. I'm on time. Smallholder of agriculture in Kerala is under transition. It is no more a traditional business or a traditional endeavor. There are newer type of people coming to it, and they're doing it in newer ways. Emerging type of farmers give a positive note for sustainability. Though government development programs are designed as smallholder inclusive, most of them remain smallholder inclusive in paper. Quantitatively and qualitatively, the support mechanism seems to be inadequate to directly or accurately reach the farmers. Climate change induced challenges prevail, and farmers strive to develop adaptation measures. For example, this entire month of August was heavy rains in Kerala, which was when actually the farmers start preparing the lands for rice cultivation. But it was not possible because the lands were inundated with water. Actually, beginning of November was the time when in Kol and Pukali, the beginning of the crop should have been, the seeding of the crop, the starting of the crop should have been done, but it is not possible because rains have receded, but they are still continuing. So the lands are still highly underwater. So the farmers will cope up by adjusting the planting time, the harvesting time, the way in which the crop is cultivated, but they don't change the variety. They remain with the same variety. The small farms contribute to carbon neutrality at large, but their economic viability is relative because the economic returns are highly dependent on the cost of production, which is on the rise in Kerala. So that's all. Thanks again. Thanks to Kerala Agriculture University, my alma mater, University of Western Australia, ARC, Professor Siddiq, Professor Michael, and the project team who supported me even up to an hour ago. My project team, Rajesh, Dr. Lakshmi, Vivek, and Athena. She's the nutrition expert in the team. These are research assistants. The farmer participants for extending their time for our survey. Thank you very much.
Questions again, wonderful. People like Rajesh now doing his PhD, so it's just how the projects help in capacity building. Jayasree, you have to come here because the hard part is now.
Okay.
Look, I think Jayasree completed on time, and there's plenty of time for questions. Just tell your name, where you are briefly, so that Jayasree know who you are, and just ask questions. And please.
It's a nice talk. So
Thank you.
I'm from University of Horticultural Sciences, Bagalkot,
Yeah.
India. I'm here as a visiting research fellow.
That's great. Okay.
So my question is especially for mango. So though it is one of the place where it's produced initially, still it is having the challenges of reaching to the market. So then, though India is now hub of internet and digital era, so what is the digitalization of agriculture extension is playing a role in terms of reaching the knowledge to the
Your question is about how the extension system is extending the digital kind of information, digital marketing information to the mango farmers of.
Yeah, to the mango farmers, to the public, in order to know that
To the market.
To the market.
Yeah, yeah. So we are trying. Mudlamada has got a very active agriculture office there. An agriculture office. It is a panchayat actually. But the problem is that the farmers take an advance amount from the intermediary, who is a commission agent. He gave them, different types of commission agents give advance amount to the farmers to procure the the mangoes produced by the farmers. So when the actual marketing time comes, it's not in the hands of the farmers. They have already sold the. They do that because that is easier for them. Because right from tending to the mangoes to mechanically or physically harvesting the mangoes is done under the leadership of the commission agent. They sell the trees when the trees flower.
It's a middleman. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's why no digital marketing, nothing, no information works with them. Most of them are working in other jobs.
Another question here.
Doug Hall, agricultural policy, particularly interested in how agricultural economies develop, so extremely interesting presentation. You mentioned several times the lack of premium price.
Yeah.
My question is, why should there be a premium price? And what should determine if there is a premium price? And I would suggest that it should be the customer that decides that in terms of preparedness to pay. The other thing is that you mentioned a lot of sort of what are called locked-in systems, like the intermediary agency. Did you do some sort of what I call an entrepreneurial analysis, so looking at the opportunities for new ways of doing things within the supply chains, which would then deliver economic efficiencies, a whole lot of efficiencies actually?
The question is.
The first question is, why should the organic, let's take organic producers and organic
Have a
products
premium
get
price.
A premium? You know the answer.
Yeah.
I won't tell you.
Okay. Because quality-wise, they are superior than the other. I've talked to you about mango. I talked to you about organic vegetables and other organic fruits, and then lastly about rice. They are. They hold food safety, and they have nutritively they are far superior than the other commercial varieties available in the market. So naturally,
So the yield is lower compared to the other one. Yeah.
but the quality is.
I get all that, but I mentioned entrepreneurship. I mean, to put into the marketplace that you should be paying a premium price, that is an entrepreneurial act by a producer. Whether the market wants to pay that is really determined whether there will be a premium price. And it suggests to me, from what you presented, is that there's not a lot of desire, if any desire in the marketplace, to pay premium.
Okay. So
I think it is still there because you go and look at the Jayasree next time you go. It's a wonderful rice we buy, and someone is making money, but whether the farmer is getting that is a question. It is
No.
packed beautifully, exported to Australia, which we now used to get. Wonderful rice, small grain, beautiful aroma. There are many products coming in. You go and look at the spices, etc., packed beautifully coming in. Someone is making money. The question is that the farmer is getting or not. So the problem is the farmers are not united
yeah.
and getting the cooperative. These are some of the things we're working. Remember, they are scattered. You said Wayanad, then you said Malappuram, then you said Ernakulam. They are far apart, and these are smaller pieces of land. Bringing them as a cooperative is a very hard task. Having said that, it's working. Sorry.
Yeah, no, sir, you are absolutely right. My biodata mentioned that I was the director of extension up to 2022. At that time, we had an association with EPEDA, that is the agency in India for promotion of export from farmers. So the regional coordinator, I was working with the regional coordinator when we tried to pool farmers from different areas, and EPEDA identified some products like banana and tapioca, which they were ready to support exporting. What happened was that none of the farmers are able to able to constantly supply the required quantity by APEDA, because they are scattered, they are small, and they are not actually say enterprising enough to assure a constant supply of produce to the. So I don't know how to.
And on the top of that, you got, I think we'll close that. On the top of that, you got this monsoon deviation, flash flooding coming. So you are not guaranteed right. I mean, wheat, for example, last year we had 25 million tons. This year, the grains will be 12, 14 million. We still have got. Louis Barton.
Hi. Thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Louise Barton. I'm based here at UWA. It was fascinating to hear about where you live.
Okay.
Looks like a beautiful place.
Don't tell that. That's where I born as well.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful place.
So I noticed in the data that you presented that, you've got an ageing population when it comes to farmers.
Yeah.
And this is a universal issue.
Yeah. Yes.
But on top of that, the younger farmers that you have don't seem to be particularly happy either. So that's a challenge. So I'm wondering, is this now well recognised, and what are some of the strategies that are now going to be, do you think, are best to not only make the younger farmers satisfied, but get more people into farming to deal with that ageing gap? I mean, I like the idea of the collectives, because hopefully your enthusiastic older farmers might be able to impart their wisdom and enthusiasm to the younger farmers. But is that the main strategy?
Yes, that is kind of a very wise analysis of the situation, because the younger farmers are not happy. Sometimes it can be changed, because the aging farmers can actually, the older farmers can, not all of them are really old, some of them are in the middle age, like 40s, 50s, etc. So they can actually act as motivators to the younger farmers, and of course extension system can pitch in. Not all young farmers are dissatisfied, because there are farmers, it is the less educated farmers who are actually kind of frustrated and kind of disenchanted, because they can't move on to or move away to any other occupation.
So the main point is that the younger generation educated and got jobs and become doctors, engineers, or whatever, and these are the younger farmers, so-called younger farmers, don't have other job, so they are not really.
It's a social construct, rather.
Yeah.
It's
But then new people cannot come. The land holding is so small, you cannot make a decent living out of it. So supporting education, etc. So big dilemma. Paul McKenzie.
Paul McKenzie, I'm a farm management consultant. I've got two questions, if I may. One is about sustainability, the other is about adoption. I think the yield of the organic rice was maybe 3 tonnes to the hectare or so. Was that about right?
Probably less, isn't it?
Which
the
one?
yield of organically produced traditional rice is less, half. Is it half of modern rice?
No, it is. It's more than the Kerala state average. Kerala state
but what we're saying is that a good rice variety you grow, because yield must be higher for the modern variety compared to the traditional variety.
It is true, but the state average is lower.
Yeah, but don't take average.
Well, for the sake of the question,
Yeah, the modern
it was
varieties,
3 tonnes
yes,
to the hectare.
yes, it is less than the modern varieties.
Yeah,
True.
whatever it is, if it is that, then there's probably 10 kilograms of phosphate per hectare being exported in an organic system, which appeals to well-fed Westerners, that organic word. But isn't that a race to the bottom in terms of soil nutrition that's been farmed for generations?
So the organic agriculture are depending upon organic manures and organic forms, and what is asking for, if I understood,
Yes, there's a
is a net exporter. But the answer is that Kerala, the nitrogen use is one of the lowest in India. Suman also knows he's from Kerala, 35 kilograms per hectare, and quite a lot is coming from the green manures, and cow manure and so on.
Yeah, and the rock,
So it's a
rock
phosphate's
phosphate.
being eroded.
Yeah, but organic phosphate is coming.
Rock
from-
phosphate they are using
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah.
The other one about adoption is new varieties and why they're not adopted. Is that a perception of cost or lack of access to capital to buy new varieties of seed?
It's mostly lack of access to seeds of the newer varieties.
But what Jayasree said is that the new variety is making a big impact in Kerala, another study. But what Jayasree is saying is that some of these specific ecological zones, they're collectively doing it. So adoption of new variety is not easy because it's decided by a large group.
Right.
Whereas if it is individual farmer at another place, they will have a modern variety.
Don't choose
So
themselves.
this is because of that specific ecological
Yeah.
zone she's talking about.
Yeah.
So they have to collectively make, and to make in a room, all the farmers come, they say, no, I don't want because risky.
Yeah,
Of course,
this picture is an example of this. A vast area of
Big.
rice land.
Small.
Nearly more than 500 farmers prevail here. So it is all collected together, and no individual farmer can take a decision to. It's very difficult. If he chooses a different variety, it will mature differently. Its harvesting type will be different. Its caring, the tending, or the plant protection will be different. So farmers find it very difficult to take an independent decision to change a variety.
But Paul does work with a lot of farmers. It can be done by demonstrating, etc. It can be done,
Yeah.
but it takes more time. Suman.
Yeah, Suman George. Just a question or a perception is recently India banned export of non-basmati rice.
Hmm.
I think this is happening for the second time. So there's a huge unmet need, you know. And on the other side, there's a huge decline in production area. So is there a way of reversing that trend, or that land has already been allocated to someone?
There is a chance of reversing that decision of not growing rice in earlier rice cultivated areas. It is happening with the combined effort of the agriculture extension personnel, the officers, but that process has been slow. There has been reclamation or starting of agriculture, rice cultivation in some of the fallow or abandoned rice lands, but that process has been slow because the commercial interests play in every place, and the lands have very high price. Land price is very high in Kerala, so farmers are reluctant to restart agriculture there because they are afraid that that might lower the land price. It's a commercial.
I think it is true. There's two questions, one from Mishra and from you. The other thing is that of the 22 million tons exported, as you rightly said, they stopped the other rice because of the shortage. But Kerala is only a small producer. So the rice is still produced a big way in other parts, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, even Punjab and so on. Interpret.
This is Mitra. I'm from Tamil Nadu
Yeah.
basically. So to continue with his question, what I've practically seen in the fields of Tamil Nadu is the rice cultivated fields are being converted into a horticultural fields, like coconut farming they go, because they have to just invest for 2-3 years and they will get the permanent income that is happening in the minds of farmers rather than going for the rice. So the same they shifted to banana cultivation. So they feel it is easier. So in what way this extension plays a role in converting it, reversing it back? If they go for permanent thing, do you think that they will reverse it?
It's very, very tough. That phenomenon is happening in Kerala as well. It is the only change is that rice fields are being converted to banana fields because they construct trenches in between, and the trenches hold the water, so the land becomes dry, and in the dry beds in between, the ridges or the beds in between, the long beds in between, they cultivate, they grow banana. And those lands are very difficult to bring back to rice because the rice ecosystem is a very fragile system, you know. It needs 5 centimeters of water all throughout the year, and the soil is like silk. It's very fine, and this is where the rice plants thrive very well. So once banana is grown, it becomes slightly gravelly, and the soil texture toughens, the structure changes. So it's then almost it's very difficult to bring it back to.
Then how come an extension can play a role? In
Yeah,
that?
only thing
It
is that we
already changed.
we are doing what we can do. We are doing, like, we are preventing farmers from going for that, because those farmers who understand the long-term implications of what they are doing, it is a long-term adverse effect they are doing to the rice ecosystem. So that is being, now you can see very less amount of that kind of lands in Kerala, like rice fields converted to banana. You can, in my youth, when I was a PhD scholar, I'm an MSc and PhD scholar, this was a very very frequent phenomenon, very common sight while you travel through the road. But now you can't see that anymore. The old conversion is there; it can't be reversed.
But also the government regulation is
Yeah,
coming
regulation.
in,
Yeah,
not to-
yes,
not to
yes.
play. I think the last question.
Non-conversion of.
Kumar.
Thank you for that.
Sorry, thank you very much. I'm not from the university, but I'm from your neighboring country.
Okay.
Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And the problems, not the problems.
I have many references from Sri Lankan rice researchers here,
Oh,
Ginigaddaras, so many famous researchers references I have here. Yeah, please.
The issues are very, very similar
Yeah.
in agriculture. I'll just keep it brief because I know Civic is running out of time. My question is more like, we have been discussing, because the land holdings are so small, one, and two, the there are social aspects
Yeah.
with farming, like seeing as the profession of the uneducated or the
Yeah.
got the last resort. So we have been talking of intensive agriculture because there's no extensive land area. And in that sense, the greenhouse, net house sort of agriculture, particularly looking at spices and medicinal herbs. One of your slides mentioned with the organics that the opportunity for hydroponic,
Yeah.
which would be in that scenario.
Hmm.
Has that been sort of successfully tried out, and what are the?
It is on a very, very, very small level in the cities, in the urban areas, in the suburbs. It is being tried, but Kerala is otherwise very rich in all the other agriculture resources for agriculture. We have soil. Even if it is a very small patch of soil, we can grow well because we have ample rainfall. So we don't actually need hydroponics.
Sorry, if I may.
No, yes, please.
Yeah, the reason in the medicinal area, the particularly Ayurvedic.
Yeah.
That environment of controlled environment
Yeah,
is
that-
very, very good control over the quality and the
Yes.
inputs.
So there are protected agriculture, if you like,
The Aushadhi, yeah.
are coming in, so less area and targeted on high value horticulture and other
Commercial
crops.
growers like Aushadhi, which
Yeah,
is
it
a
is there, but it's
standard
not.
manufacturer of Ayurvedic plants in our state. They are trying, but not from the side of the farmers generally, because it needs investment and it needs space. But people like Aushadhi, which is a commercial medicinal Ayurvedic medicine manufacturer of the state, they are doing hydroponics of medicine plants.
Okay, let us please join me in thanking Jayasree for this wonderful talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
You turned it off, or you should not turn
Yes,
off.
goodness.
I need my slide. Can you
Okay,
bring it
sir.
back?
It's that. I thought it was over. I can go back now.
You can go and sit and turn off your microphone. Otherwise, if you say something, we'll all hear. Where are we? Okay. So, I think we heard, I would not summarize, a wonderful story of a tropical place, highly densely populated place, 35 million people. Australia is 26 million people, highly educated. Average people read 2 newspapers. The length of the state is 580 kilometers. The widest part is 60 kilometers. And I was asked by the Premier, Chief Minister, last week or 2 weeks ago to give go there and give a visionary talk to the Parliament. So I did that. I said, I can't come. I did it online. This is the Caribbean that done. Hopefully they will have big challenges and, for example, carbon neutrality, one of the best places because 44 rivers, which Jayasree mentioned, largely hydroelectric. The second one is 30% of the state is under forest, trees, so they are almost there, and they're only using about 35 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, so they could. And combined with organic and specialty products, then Jayasree mentioned about the geographical indication, combined with environmental sustainability, then you can market and get better price, and the supermarkets are really revolutionizing all over the world, including India and Kerala. I'm pleased to share that today's lecture has been recorded in full. The video will be uploaded to the UWA Institute of Agriculture YouTube channel this afternoon or maybe tomorrow, and then you can all share it. Will come into the social media. So before I bring this lecture to a close, I would like to invite you to attend. This year it has been slightly delayed. This is our annual 2023 Hector and Andrew Stewart Memorial Lecture. It's on November 22nd, and renowned agricultural scientist, Adjunct Professor John Dixon, will be traveling from Queensland to UWA to deliver this lecture, and the title is Incorporating Sustainability and Resilience to Agri-Food Development. Again, a lot of that has got to do with small farmers of the world. And it is a fracture and points and tipping points, big issues with the smallholder farmers. And this is in the honor of Hector and Stewart Memorial Son. We have some money donated by the family. That money is in the bequest. The interest is earned from that. So it's quite interesting. Please tell your friends so that we can see as many people. I think thank you once again, and it has been a wonderful talk, and thank you all of those who came and learned. And also I would like to thank Michael Begney. I have taken him to Kerala a few times. He will come again. This is a really good example, and hopefully Faye, Amin and others, we will be able to get some bright students to do PhD in this area. A wonderful place, and I'm sure Jayasree will be happy to have. Thank you once again.